with a lot of respect. I think it was mostly the young people who were a little bit ignorant about what was going on. So my parents didn't have any negative repercussions that I know of. I think they might have been not telling me because they didn't want to make it any worse for me because they know that I care about them. So that was a tough time for them though, because they live through their kids, and having something like that be constantly going after, people constantly going after your son is not the greatest thing in the world, especially when they know that what you're doing is right. So they were kind of my biggest supporters at the time, telling me to keep pushing on and, again, block out the haters and just kind of and do what you think is right, because at the end of the day, people are going to realize it eventually. And I had tons of people come up to me years afterwards and apologize and realize that what they did was immature. People who said the worst things to me or told me to kill myself or whatever, those people would come up to me and say, I'm really sorry. Because as people mature, they start to realize that that's not okay dialogue, even if you totally disagree with someone. So
yeah, sadly, we have a lot of people who don't mature these days, but that is nice to hear, though. What about the support you got from your friends? I mean, were your friends that supported you willing to publicly support you? Because that's another. There are certain things. That's why I think this is so interesting. There are certain trends with all of these, whether it's you taking an unpopular but principled position, or it's a guy like Brett Weinstein at Evergreen. Just all these different people that come out. I mean, it's a coming out in a way. That the same tactics happen every time, and in this case, the idea that your friends or whatever won't back you publicly, but privately probably had no problem doing it.
Yeah, I had friends who came up to me or would text me saying, I support you and I feel terrible for what you're going through, but I can't associate myself with you. And those friends ended up trying to associate with me later on.
In a way, those are the worst ones, right? Because it's like if someone just tells you to go F yourself, it's like, big deal, okay, whatever. But the friends, it's like, am I your shield? Am I, you know what I mean? Like, am I the guy that's supposed to just be out there while you sit quietly and do nothing? You're not helping me.
Right. Yeah, I had one really good friend named Brandon who supported me through it all, and would come over this death threat stuff started to happen right as summer started. Which was the worst time, because in high school as a freshman, you don't really do anything during the summer, so you're just like at home sitting, looking at your Twitter thinking, oh, all these people want to kill me, or they think I'm the worst person in the world. So it's really nice to have one friend who I could rely on, plus my family. And I actually took a little bit of a break from the town that I lived in. My dad even said, if things got worse, that we could move if that was necessary, which I never thought it was going to be necessary, and it never was. But I took a little bit of a break and went to my grandparents' house for a while just to get away from it all. Because there was one time actually at my house two times. Once when someone called and said they were going to come to my house and kill me on an anonymous line to my home phone. And then a second time when I was watching a movie, and it was actually Ted, and I was trying to have a fun night after all this stuff had been going on, and someone knocked on the window and was flipping me off, and this was in the middle of the night as I was sitting in my living room. So I was pretty scared to be at home for a little while, and so I went away for a little bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't want to belabor the point with you, and there's a lot of other obviously important stuff I want to talk about, but I think that it's worth mentioning just because so many people go through this, and more importantly, you're on the other side now. You made it, you're doing cool stuff, and you survived, and it's just worth showing people that, usually you will survive.
Yeah, and I think, what was really big for me is that it takes a strong person to go through that, but there are tons of people going through the exact same thing nationwide, and I would even say that there are some people on the left side who go through the exact same thing, because it's not just people on the left who have this nasty attitude, it's people on the right as well. And I think it's sickening, because even if you disagree with someone wholeheartedly, just stay quiet. If you really are going to be that rude and that upset about it, be respectful or be quiet. That's kind of how I would like to view things. And so I think to other people who are in similar situations, persevering through this is the best thing that you can go through. I mean, I feel like I matured into a 45 or 50-year-old when I was 14 or 15 years old. And so I was able to really progress, and I think it actually might be one of the best experiences of my life, even though it was one of the worst experiences of my life. In terms of furthering myself, it was one of the best. And I also think just knowing that if I can persevere through it, anyone can, and anyone should. And standing up for your viewpoints isn't going to be easy, but it's totally worth it.
Well said. You know, I think we talked about this one. We had lunch a couple weeks ago,
yeah.
and I think we talked about this, but I told you that I think my best professional moment is also my worst professional moment, and it was when Larry Elder just bludgeoned me over the head with facts. And it was my worst because I wasn't prepared, and it was my best because it opened me up.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, new information, new facts. Let's explore that.
Right.
So.